Everybody have a good weekend.
Yeah.
I know it's Tuesday, but I haven't talked to any of you.
Well, I went to the 49er playoff game, so that was awfully fun and nail biting, but that was awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. I know that was a quandary game for me because I didn't want to root for either team.
You don't like either of them?
I don't like either of them. And I was like, okay, okay, yes, I got to go with the 49ers because I have a lot of friends who are Niners fans, although I'll deny it because I just cannot stand the Cowboys. Sorry if that offends. We're all entitled to our own opinions.
So lesser of two evils is the way you win, huh?
We're Eagles over here, so this weekend will be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Eagles? Oh, that's good. What is your favorite team, Jodi?
I'm a Raider fan. So what's really bad is this Super Bowl stinks. I'm sorry, but I mean, come on. Kansas City and Niners, the only way it could be worse if it would, and this wouldn't be possible actually, is if it was Kansas City and Denver, but that's impossible, right? But
Yeah, I actually think Cincinnati might take it.
Wow, they're pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I have money on Eagles. We have a playoff pool, so I drew out the Eagles. So I'm rooting for the Eagles, but I'm the underdog is the Bengals. I kind of want them to win.
yeah, if I don't have a preference, I'll go for. I have one of two ways to choose a team: either the underdog or if there's a cat in it. So Bengals it is.
That's funny.
I know, it's silly. I've been a Raider fan ever since I was a little girl. My dad was a Raider fan. So, back in the day before they had gangs and all the craziness attached to them, when they were, a ball club that stayed a ball club for their career and not, every other year they change out players like all the teams do now. We're just rooting for uniforms now.
Well, if you're in Vegas now, so that may change the whole, people issue. I don't know, the whole, spiky hair, skull thing, but who knows? That's kind of their scary thing.
Yep. It's interesting. So be thinking about if there's a specific thing that you guys want to mastermind around. But all this sports talk is making me think, what is something that sports players have in common with realtors? And how about key players, top players with top realtors?
Very motivated, they get in the zone.
You guys can hear me, but my internet connection is lousy here.
We can hear you.
Okay, well, you guys are cutting off and on because we have a signal.
Oh yeah, now you're being a robot. Are you in the office? Restart your computer.
Yes. Oh, there he goes.
Is it everybody having the problem or just you?
No, it's the internet for some reason. I just checked it. It's unstable.
Okay. Well, we can hear you intermittently. We hear you now. Oh, are you just moving your mouth? I could tell he wasn't talking. Try to mess with me.
It is unstable though.
Okay. So great ball players or sports players have coaches. What do the coaches have them do?
Stick to a schedule.
Okay, that's part of it. Absolutely.
Practice.
Yes. And what do they practice?
Following the coach's instruction.
Yeah, but what do they coach them to do?
Their position, play their position.
Which means doing what?
Concentrating on what, they're supposed to be doing, defending, receiving.
Working on their fundamentals.
So if a ball player is going to be a great ball player, become a Hall of Fame ball player, are they going to run the play once or twice? Are they going to practice the play once or twice? No. They're going to practice their plays over and over and over and over. I don't care if they're in college, if they're in their first year in pro ball, or if they're in their however many year before they usually age out, right? They play, if the key players practice the same things over and over and over again. They don't say, hey, I won MVP of the Super Bowl last year. I don't have to practice anymore. I got this. What happens if they don't keep practicing?
Lose their skills.
Yeah, their muscles will start to deteriorate. Their stamina will go away. They won't be in shape. They won't be able to continue to play the game. What does all this make you think about your jobs?
We have to stay in shape mentally.
Yeah. What does that mean you have to do?
Practice scripts, conversations, learning.
Yeah. Practicing conversations every single day. Not saying, oh, I had a great conversation last time. I got this. Because if you don't have that conversation for 10 more weeks, you don't have it anymore. Right? But it's not just practicing conversations. That's a big piece of it. What else is it?
Always doing what brings success, which is lead generation and lead follow-up.
Yeah. How often do we do that? We do it
We're supposed to.
every day, right? And we do it over and over and over again. We're doing the same thing. We're calling our SOI. We're doing open houses. We're doing the same thing over and over again. What's that helping us to do?
Perfect it more.
Yeah. Remember in the shift book, Gary Keller says time on task over time is how he became great, how he honed his craft, right? Same thing with us. And we can't be reminded of that enough. And I think it's interesting. We kind of started out with a fun little sports discussion while we're waiting for people to get on here. But really, that's what we need to do. Every single day that it's in our calendar for work, and if we're a full-time agent, it should be every day, less 2 days off, right? A week. Practice those conversations, lead generate. Spend half of your lead gen time blocked to lead follow-up. That's going to lead to what?
Success.
Yeah. The more you do those things, you're going to start setting appointments. The more you set appointments, the more contracts you're going to have, which means more closings, which means more money, right? But if we don't practice the conversations and we don't set the appointments, we don't get the money in the end. So think about it. If you're having trouble setting appointments, and you've talked to so many people and they say they want to do something, but they won't set an appointment, what might you do to change that?
Practice conversations.
Yeah. Do we know how to get to the heart of the motivation?
Questions?
Yeah. Do we ask enough questions? So let me ask you, do all of you on here, and remember, this is always a judgment-free zone. Okay, because the purpose of this mastermind is to help you guys hone your craft and get better. And so that's why we just have to have open and honest discussions in here. That's the purpose of this. Okay. So is there anybody here who feels like they have just mastered getting to the heart of a client's motivation? And we can all work on that, right? But let me ask you something. When you're in a transaction, because we hear things like this all the time, when you're in a transaction and something starts to go sideways, whether it's during the listing portion of it, whether it's during the escrow, let's just take, for instance, the escrow portion. And you spent all this time, showed houses, get into contract, you beat out other offers, open escrow, buyer does inspections, and all of a sudden buyer's like, oh, I want this fixed, this fixed, this fixed, this fixed, this fixed. And it starts to go sideways because now the seller's annoyed, and because they are asking for too many things and they're saying no. So now buyer's like, I want to walk because they won't fix anything. What's your inclination to do there?
Find the motivation of their end game and compare the end game with these little details. Help them compare if their end game is more important than these little details of fixing things.
Yeah. Sometimes though, we get stuck, we get panicked because we think, oh my gosh, how do I save this deal? Right? But you know how to save the deal. Is what Michelle just said. Go back to their motivation. How long did it take to find that house? How many offers did they have to write before they finally got a house? Are interest rates going to go back up? Are they paying, are they still paying on something else? Right? What is the motivation? Sometimes buyers and sellers get wrapped up over something so insignificant because they want to be right, or they're standing their ground. It's the principle of the matter. And yet they don't realize they're willing to lose thousands of dollars over something that's not costing them very much. Rick?
Yeah, I'd just like to say something along those lines that I learned the hard way. Hopefully I can save someone else from having to do that. It helps if you do like Jody's saying and ask. You can almost never ask too many questions. And setting expectations is a big deal for me, especially with buyers. And let them know, keep an eye out as you go along. And I don't know, just setting expectations really helps, And like you said, if we beat someone out because of terms in our, contract and we were lucky to get it, point that out to someone that's being picky about a door that sticks or a closet door that's off the track or something. It gets pretty silly sometimes, and setting expectations really helps. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's going to be issues with every house that, they're going to come across. There's no house, even brand new homes, that are worry-free as far as, fixing things. So I think that's a thing to point out.
That really is. Who's to say if they let this one go and go on to the next one, the problems won't be bigger? And now they've just wasted time and money, right? Have to do new inspections all over again, all those things. So when we ask those motivating questions at the beginning, when they first raise their hand and say, I want to buy a house or I want to sell a house, and we're asking the proper motivating questions to get to their motivation, it doesn't just serve for taking the listing or getting the buyer's agreement signed. It serves for the entire process of the transaction. And so that's why it's so important that we do that and we don't skip that. Never, ever skip asking those qualifying questions. Don't ever go straight to an appointment. Because sometimes, especially newer ones, can get excited and go, Oh, yay, you want to sell your house? Great. I can come see your house at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Does that work for you? Well, wait a minute. Right? We skipped a whole big step in the middle there. And so that's why it's so important, because it serves so much and will help you through so much. All right. So who has a scenario, something that they've been struggling with, a question? Remember, this isn't a training class. We're not going to teach you how to do command, those kinds of things. But what in your business are you struggling with? Is coming up that you're like, ooh, I'm scared. How do I handle this? Or who had a great experience that was a great learning experience that if you share will help the group? This is what we're here for. So who has something? Maria.
Hi. Yeah, I think it's more of a struggle whenever I get buyers, especially, oh, I don't know if it's a good time to buy right now. And I said, well, let's go and get your paperwork together so that we can talk to a lender. And as soon as they hear the word lender, it seems like scares them away. And then it's really hard to get to talk to them about their financial situation. It seems like they don't want to share a lot of that with me, which I understand, and that's why I refer them to a lender. But then if I send them straight to a lender and they're like, oh yeah, no, I don't have nothing in my bank account, the lender is going to think, well, you didn't do your job because you need to ask those questions before. But then sometimes I feel like they don't want to tell me if they really have money or not for the down payment.
Right. That's common. Okay. And clients may not want to tell us their financial situation, things that they will tell a lender. And yet it still doesn't preclude us from asking certain questions. But that goes back to asking those qualifying questions, right? So have you been pre-approved with a lender? Or do you plan to pay cash? Remember, guys, we need to ask that question the same way to everyone. Does everybody know why?
Sorry, so you said we have to ask the same, all the questions in the same, like maybe tone and manner. Is that what you're saying?
No, and you can word it differently or whatever, but what we don't want to do is say, have you been pre-approved by a lender? And leave it at that. We don't want to assume they need to get a loan, right? So we need to treat everyone the same way. So have you already been pre-approved with a lender, or do you plan to pay cash? Right? So we never make an assumption. That's part of the fair housing, right? And so we don't ask some people because we look at them and think, oh, they're definitely going to need a loan, and not ask if they plan to pay cash. So make that part of your conversation. Part of that question should be the same, at least include both of those options with each time you ask the question, okay? So once we do that, then they start to open up, right? So first of all, we kind of put them at ease by not prejudging what they're doing. And then that might help open up. So sometimes it's how we ask. And then if they say no, they haven't been pre-approved by a lender, what are some things that we could possibly say to help put them at ease about that? And by the way, you guys know I'm happy to answer these questions, but I want to hear from you guys. I want some feedback. I want to see what you guys would do. And of course, I'm always going to chime in, but this is a mastermind, so I don't want to be the only one talking all the time. Okay. So does anybody have some feedback on that?
I want to say something,
Okay.
but the problem is I don't have any experience. This is, so I'm just absorbing the information right now and trying
That's
to
okay.
understand the process. I feel like I want to do something, but I can't at this moment because I don't have any previous knowledge of selling homes. I know
Okay.
how to treat people, but I understand what you're saying. And I want to also be part of the meeting, just to
Well,
let you know.
we appreciate that, Murari, and and you are new to us, and welcome. And that's okay, because we have agents in this mastermind who have just started, and we have agents who have been with us for a few years. And so don't ever worry if there's not something that you have to say, okay? But also I want to give opportunity for everyone to be able to speak. So don't ever be shy if you do have something to say or a question to ask, okay? And for the benefit of the couple newer people that we have on here, there is no dumb question, silly question, bad question. Okay. If it's a question in your mind, it is absolutely okay to ask. This is a judgment-free zone. Okay. That
Okay,
goes for,
I have a question.
okay.
So I make cold calls, right? Because my SOI is not that big. I'm trying to build my database. And I want to say, like, what from your experience doing real estate, what's your opener like when you first start your conversation in cold calling or calling people or whatever? What do you usually say, like your introduction? You say, "Hey, if you're interested in selling your home right off the bat," or how you usually do that?
Great question, Isaac. And have lots to say about that. And I'm sure some others on here do too. I'm going to actually put a pin in that for just a couple minutes while we finish talking out what Maria had brought up. Love that question though. Okay. And then we'll get to that in just a moment. So back to talking about the buyers that don't want to give us the information. It's really important that we try to put them at ease. Okay. We're not asking to be nosy. Right? We want to get a sense of things. So we can ask them questions like, rather than asking them specific financial questions, we can ask them things like, what payment are you comfortable with? Right? That when they tell us the amount that they're comfortable with paying per month, that might give us a clue as to their situation. If they tell us, oh, I'm comfortable paying about $1,000 a month, and they live at the coast, that's going to give us a clue they're probably not going to be able to qualify. We, again, don't want to assume, right? We don't know. Maybe they've got 500 grand in the bank that they're going to plop down, and that's why their payment's going to be $1,000 a month. But there's things that we can ask. So if you stick to the buyer lead sheet, which you'll find in your PC toolkit in the conversation helpers folder, those questions will really help. And when it comes to, they kind of start putting on the brakes when you mention the lender, just ask them, is there a reason that you're not ready to talk to the lender? Is there, are you ready to start the process of buying a home? Ask more questions, right? Don't just let them hit the brakes and then let it go. Ask more questions, dig deeper, find out why. Maybe they have something that they're getting ready to pay off and they don't want their credit run yet. Or maybe they just had their credit run for something and they don't want it done yet. So it could be the smallest of things. And so maybe they don't understand the process. Okay. So just helping them understand that talking with a lender doesn't commit them to doing anything now, but it helps them know what they're able to do. And if there's a few steps that they need to take to be able to do it, and so that they can be helped along the way. So the key is questions, questions, questions.
Jodi, can I chime in really quick? Because I had this happen to me here recently.
Sure. Just one moment, Autumn.
Oh,
Nina
good.
was starting to say something.
Oh, I just
Oh.
said, I always just also tell them, if you're a first time home buyer, there's so many different loan options depending on your situation, and the lender is the best person to steer you through, all those, your particular situation, are you a veteran, that type of thing. So it puts them in a mind that, okay, I don't even know what my options are, so I should talk to a lender and see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Autumn?
I'm so sorry. I don't know if I'm muted still. Am I?
No, we hear you.
What happened with me too is I was, I'm working with buyers now, and when they finally say like, oh, I want to go look at houses, I mentioned that, I don't want them to fall in love with the place and then not be able to make a serious offer. And to be considered a serious offer, we need a pre-approval letter. And in order to, establish our financial background or what we can afford. And once I said it like that, they were like, oh, okay, how do we do that? And I'm like, awesome. I will refer you to our lender if you don't have somebody that you're using already. But it's really important, if you're really putting in a serious offer on the coast, you have to have the pre-approval letter, or else they just don't even look at your offer.
Absolutely. And that applies anywhere. So my theory, or the way that I teach you guys and coach you guys, is if you don't have a client pre-approved, you don't show them property. So the ticket to get to see property is the pre-approval letter from the lender, because I like to say it this way: depending on the circumstance, you might give them one freebie. A lot of people have heard me say this. You might give them one freebie while they're in the process of getting pre-approved. And that freebie, so to speak, should be a vacant home. Because if you were a seller and you had kids and dogs and cats and had to get all of that straightened up and places to put people and leave your house for somebody to come and look, and then come to find out, oh, they don't even qualify for that. I mean, if you were in their shoes, you'd probably be pretty upset. So it's not even just about writing the offer, although that's 100% true. It's before that. It's showing respect to the seller. So, and you don't want to waste your time. Remember, guys, we have to work smarter, not harder. And so absolutely pre-approved, and pre-approved is the proper terminology, not just pre-qualified. And is there anyone here that doesn't know the difference between the two? Does everybody know what pre-approved is versus pre-qualified? Because you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, are they pre-qualified? Great. But we need proof that the information they gave is been confirmed. That's the pre-approval, right? So love that. Thank you for sharing that, Autumn. That applies at the coast. That applies absolutely everywhere. And that's just the right thing to do. Unfortunately, sometimes newer agents get excited and they just want to go out and show property, but we've got to do things the right way. So when the buyer raises their hand, I want to buy a house. Great. I have a few questions I want to ask, and have that buyer lead sheet ready. Ask the questions. And if an answer they give you makes you think of another question that's not on that sheet, ask it. This is your digging. You're digging to get to their motivation, right? And then we set the appointment for the buyer consultation, where we get their wants and needs, set expectations, and teach them how we work together. Then we go show property. Okay, so there is a process, and when you follow the process, you'll have a lot more success and things will go a lot smoother. Is that helpful, Maria? Okay, awesome. Isaac, back to your question. So does anybody have some input on Isaac's question? What do I say about the word cold in the phrase cold calls? Do I ever coach anyone to make a cold call? No. So the first answer to that question, Isaac, is have a reason to call. Okay. So when you say cold call, sometimes the terminology is different. When I think of cold call, I think of I'm picking random numbers out of the phone book. I know we don't use actual phone books anymore, but you get the picture, right? And just calling them and saying, hey, this is Jodi with Keller Williams. You want to sell your house? That's not what we do. Okay. What types of numbers are you calling when you're saying cold call, Isaac?
What type of numbers am I using?
Uh-huh.
So I usually use like people, tire landlords, vacant. Those are the type of properties that I call, and then I just, find out their number, give them a call, and ask them if they have any interest or anything like that. And if they know, I just put them in the not interested list and move on.
Okay. So the biggest thing is, so first of all, what's the number one way to lead generate?
SOI.
SOI. So 75+% of our business comes from SOI, and that's a year after year statistic, statewide, nationwide. So we need to be reaching out to our SOI. Okay. And if you don't have a large SOI, and some people don't, that's okay. That just means we need to meet more people. Okay. So that's where some of these other types of calls come in. But Isaac, for instance, if you're calling somebody who is a landlord of a vacant home, say you found out there's a landlord of a vacant home. Hi, Mr. Landlord. My name's Isaac from Keller Williams. I'll be very brief. I know you weren't expecting my call. I just noticed that you have a home that's been vacant for a while. Have you thought about selling your home? Because we have so many buyers that are looking for a home right now. Right. So the thing is first of all, we want to put them at ease. We are not salespeople in the general term. We are salespeople, right? But we are not salespeople like a car salesman or a furniture salesman, right? We can't talk somebody in or out of buying or selling a home they don't want to do, nor should we. Okay. So the key is having a reason to call. The reason, Mr. Landlord, that I'm calling today is because my team and I have many buyers that are looking for a home, and we haven't been able to, there's just not enough homes on the market right now. Have you thought about selling your home? So it doesn't become a call about, hey, Mr. Landlord, I'm a realtor and I want to sell your home. It becomes a call about, hey, Mr. Landlord, I have some clients I'm trying to help and I'm just doing everything I can to help them. See the difference? And so you can apply that to anything. You can apply that to when you circle call around a brand new listing, right? You can call people and say in the neighborhood around the listing and say, hi, Mr. Neighbor. My name's Jodi with Keller Williams, and we just listed your house at 123 Main Street. And we have found that neighbors near people in the area tend to know of others that want to move into the area. And we're doing everything we can to get our sellers' home sold for them. Can you think of anyone who wants to move into the area? Now, if they have a need to buy or sell, that conversation is going to strike up that need, right? But see how the phone call becomes that you're calling from contribution and you're trying to help somebody rather than you're trying to be a salesperson? Big difference. If you're working with buyers and you can't find them a home, call people in the neighborhood, door knock people in the neighborhood that they want to move to. Hi, Mr. Homeowner. I'm Jodi with Keller Williams. I'll be real brief. I know you weren't expecting me or expecting my call, depending if you're door knocking or calling. But I've been working with this couple for quite some time, and they haven't been able to find just the right house, and they want to move into this neighborhood. Have you thought about selling, or have you talked to any neighbors that might be thinking about selling? So, right, all of these scenarios are about helping the other person. But when we approach it that way, what also are we showing the person we're asking the question to?
How diligent we are and how much we want to do for our clients.
Yeah. So what if you call someone? Let's just use the scenario of you have a buyer and you're door knocking or you're calling and they say no, they can't think of anyone. How might you be able to make that person part of your SOI for the future?
By getting their phone number and email address and offering to keep offering maybe a neighborhood nurture to keep them informed of what's going on in their neighborhood.
Yeah. Hey, Michelle, thank you so much for thinking about that. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. Hey, by the way, before I go or before I hang up, would you be interested in once or twice a month knowing exactly what's going on in your neighborhood? Who's selling their home? Who sold their home? Oh, yeah, I'd love that. Great. If you share your email with me, I'd be happy to send that to you. Everybody wants to know what's going on in their neighborhood, right? So then you're collecting their information, add it to command, and put them on the neighborhood nurture, and they may be a future client. But see how we approach things makes a big difference. And Isaac, in the PC toolkit, in the folder that says conversation starters / helpers or something like that, there's a whole lot of different conversation helpers in there, depending on the scenario or the type of person that you're calling. But even your SOI, those of you just getting started, you know, you could call up and say, hey, Joe, wow, it's been a while since we've talked. Shame on me. But you know what? I am so excited. I just wanted to let you know I started a career in real estate. You can be really direct like that. Or for somebody that maybe it's been so long, you don't want to do it that way, you can just say, hey, Joe, you know, I just started a career in real estate and it's the start of the year. And it's just making me realize I haven't reached out to people as much as I would have liked to have. How have you been? And just make it about them, how they are, how their family is. You don't have to force the real estate conversation there. Just connect, develop those relationships, and over time, things will happen. Is that helpful?
Could you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, my thing's lagging. Yeah, that's what I try to do. I try to like offer something of value, maybe take down their email address. Well, okay, well, I'll send you over some information that I got around your neighborhood or stuff like that. That's what I try to do. But my database is very small. I got like probably less than 60 people,
Okay.
and I'm trying to build it. And sometimes it's like, you know, I call these people trying to, you know, get them into my SOI instead of door knocking because it's going to take a little bit more longer, you know? So that's why I'm like, what should I
Well,
do?
think about this, face-to-face often works a lot better than a phone call. Think about how many people don't answer their phone, right? It goes to voicemail or they don't recognize the number, so they don't answer the phone. So while you may get in front of less people door knocking, you'll probably have more conversations door knocking. However, don't just pick a place and randomly go door knock, right? Have a reason you're door knocking that area. So either a house was just listed or you have a buyer for that area, or maybe it's an area that you can contact the title company and find out renters or houses that have renters in them so that you can talk to them about, you know, the buy versus rent, that type of thing. So always have a reason for what you're doing, not just, you know, pulling different things out of the air and hoping something sticks. And the number one way is to talk to your sphere. And if you don't have a large sphere, so it's interesting. I shared this last week in the mastermind and it bears repeating. So one of the things that they talked about, and this was Mark King and Jason Abrams, our president and vice president of Keller Williams, they said, without a strategy, everything seems like a good idea. And that's really true. We just try everything until something sticks, right? Most of us do something just long enough to waste our time. We quit right before it starts working because we don't feel like we see the results. And a really good case in point is, and I know a couple of you have already heard this, so forgive me for repeating this, but many of you have not heard this, so I'm going to because it's a really telling situation. Some months back, I talked with an agent in our group, and he was telling me he wanted to start paying for leads and he wanted to start doing this. And there was a 35% referral fee and he wanted to do this and he was going to pay for this over here. And I'm like, why are you trying to pay for leads? And the response was, well, I've been calling my SOI and it's just not working. Everybody just tells me no, or they don't know of anybody. And I was like, huh, okay. So we're talking and I said, well, okay. Just a few minutes ago, you told me you had 5 listings coming up. He goes, yeah. I say, okay, well, okay, where are those from? What's your source of those listings? And he starts going through them and he goes, well, this one is SOI, 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 open house, SOI. And I said, wait a minute. All 5 of your listings are coming from a free source. 4 out of 5 are your SOI that you just told me isn't working. And he was dumbfounded. And I said, did you not make that connection when you told me that? And he said, no, I didn't. And you know why he didn't make the connection? He was so downhearted by all the no's and not now, or I don't know of anybody. And that's what he was focusing on. Instead of focusing on the pipeline that over the last 4 months, he had been building to where over the next 2 months was going to turn into 5 listings. You've heard the bold law, what you focus on expands. He was ready to give up on his SOI, the number one way to get business year after year, according to statistics that don't lie, to go pay money he did not need to pay for leads that were going to be harder to convert than SOI. Because the focus went to the negative instead of what was happening. But because it was happening so slow over time, he didn't see it. Even though literally 5 minutes prior, he told me he had 5 listings coming up. True story, absolute true story. And I share that because it's so important that we don't lose sight of what the work we're doing is building. And it's so easy to do. It's human nature to focus on the negative instead of the positive. Okay. So really, when you find yourself focusing on, oh my gosh, nobody's ever wanting to do anything, this is getting so frustrating, stop, look back. Even if you don't have a listing coming up next month, did somebody tell you they're ready 6 months from now? Do you have somebody else that told you they're ready a year from now? Because we all still want to make money 6 months and a year from now, right? Focus on the pipeline you're building. Remember, when we're reaching out to our sphere and we're telling you you're going to get that 6% return on the number of contacts that are in your database, that doesn't happen overnight. It's a year of being in contact with them. Those quarterly calls, the neighborhood nurtures. It pays off. But what happens is we do it 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 months, and it's like, nothing's happened. I'm not going to do that anymore. And you've just wasted all the time you put into it. Okay, so back to absent a strategy, everything sounds like a great idea. So you need a strategy. Your number one strategy should be your SOI. So there's one of 2 options when it comes to SOI. Number one is I know enough people, and enough means you need at least 201 contacts. What do we tell you? How many do we want you to get in your first 90 days? 300. Okay. I know that sounds like a lot if you don't start with a lot. Don't worry. If you don't have 390 days, no one's going to hit you with a wet noodle or anything like that. Okay. Just keep going till you get there. You will get there. So number one, I know enough people, so I need to love on them more. That means I need to contact them more. I need to make sure they know I'm here, right? Number 2, I don't know enough people. That means I need to go meet more strangers. Bring them into the fold, right? And you do that by door knocking. You do that by holding open houses. Open houses, your visitors are people that are saying, I may potentially want to do business. Yeah, you're going to get some looky-loos too, but you're going to connect with them. They may be looky-loo today and a buyer a year from now, right? Every time you go to the store, talk to somebody. Make it a goal every time you leave your house to talk to one person about real estate. Do you know that if you add one person to your database every day for a year, now 5 days a week, every day for a year, and take 2 weeks off a year, you'll add 250 people to your database? That sound a little less intimidating? Okay. And then I'm going to repeat this again too. For those of you that heard it last week, it bears repeating. If you're not calling your people at least once a quarter. Quit calling them your people. They're someone else's. Top agents become that way by calling the people that you don't. So don't let someone else take away your people. Okay, so it's okay if you don't have a big sphere. Over time, you'll work to grow it. Just don't forget about the ones that are there. We've got to work on them. Okay. Good questions today. Good conversation. Anyone else have a struggle that they're struggling with they'd like to share? I see a lot of cameras went off. Did we lose everybody? Hopefully it's, well, no, that doesn't sound good. I was going to say something better be burning down. But we don't want that. That's not what I mean. Remember, guys, when you're in your coaching classes, when you're on appointments, when you're in things, we need to be focused. That's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to grow your business. Okay. Not taking calls, not doing things in the background. That's not going to help you grow your business. Remember, we're here to coach you. We're here to help you. We can give you all the tools in the world to make your business successful and profitable, but it's up to you to use them. Okay. And we want to make sure that we're helping you use them the best that you can. Any comments, thoughts, ahas?
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm willing to do any type of open houses, and I know that there is a process. Is there a link on a MLS or something to find it? I know that somebody mentioned it, but I haven't looked into it.
So if you're talking about what the recent thread on WhatsApp was, they were looking for open houses that were actually happening that weekend. If you want to do an open house, then what I suggest you do is you look in your MLS for your office. You can't do none of the brokers allow us to do open houses for other offices. Okay. Even another Keller Williams office, because I know some of you live in an area where there's other Keller Williams offices near you. We still can't do that. So look in your MLS and search for listings for your office. Then I take it a step further and have you look for vacant listings. Okay, because vacant listings, typically the list agent doesn't have to get permission or whatnot. It's a lot easier. Then text the agent to see if you can do an open house for them. I know a lot of people will call or email. The best way to get a response from a busy agent is to text them. Okay. Because they're not answering their phone when they're super busy, and they're not responding to emails like that. So text them for the best response.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions or comments?
No, I think just the one thing about the SOIs, and I know I can definitely be much better at that than I've been, but it took 2 years for someone to get to come to me and say, my daughter wants to move in that area. Will you help me look? Will you help her look? So it can take a while, but that's the, beauty of just being in their mind all the time.
Yeah, it can take a while to get things going. Some people are very fortunate and come in with stuff because family knows they're getting their license and they start right off the bat. And other people, it takes months. So just be realistic with yourself. But here's the thing. If you're not making the calls, if you're not doing the lead generation, you're not going to get the business because it's not going to fall in your lap. Okay. So what you want out of this is what you have to put in it. Okay, so the more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it, and the faster you're going to get paid. We always say what we do today, we typically see the results of about 90 days from now. So if you were to take a listing today, it takes time to get that listing on the MLS, get it marketed, have people show it, get you an offer, get it into escrow, and the escrow closes, right? So it doesn't happen overnight. Even once you get that listing or you get that buyer, the process takes time. But consistency is what's going to get you there, and not giving up. So stay focused. Okay. And don't focus on the no's. Think of no as next opportunity. N-O, next opportunity. And then be thankful that they didn't waste your time, so that you can get on to find the next one that's going to say yes. Right? It's a numbers game. It takes time, and there's going to be more no's than yeses. So go into it knowing that. All right, guys. Well, good discussion today. We've got a lot of good things that we're going to be bringing to you in the coming weeks. We have family reunion coming up next month already. Wow. Anybody here going? No? We're going to be bringing back some great stuff to share with you. So also, I am going to be, so we have our PC retreat this Saturday. Is everybody here going? I think I've seen most of your names signed up. Looking forward to that. Lori's going to be in our Visalia training room. Brittany's going to be in the Porter Ranch training room, which will have Porter Ranch and West Ventura County agents. And then I'll be at the Central Coast. So looking forward to seeing everybody. I will also be at Porter Ranch on Thursday at what time? 11 o'clock to do a class in person on contract to close, because we've been getting a lot of questions. Please come see me in person from 11 to 12. Okay, if you're in Porter Ranch. And I will be in West Ventura County Thursday at 2 o'clock from 2 to 3. So please come see me there. And if you're in Visalia or Tulare County or the Central Coast and you want to participate in those classes, let me know and we'll throw on Zoom so you can benefit too. Because I won't have time to do that at the coast this week. Okay, Michelle, I'll send out an email to Central Coast and Tulare County with a Zoom link. Okay, but I want everybody else in person. I want to meet those of you I haven't met in person yet. Looking forward to seeing you all. And Saturday is going to be a great day. It's going to go by like that. Nina, are you able to be there?
Yep, I am. Yeah.
Yay. Because I knew you had a question mark last time we talked.
Yes, no, it worked out. So good.
Awesome.
Jodi, I'm not going to be able to make it because I have to go to San Jose. My godson's got a hockey game up there.
Oh, no.
I know they didn't get the schedule out until after I already signed up. So I just can't miss it.
Bummer. I
Yeah.
understand, but I'm sad.
I'll
Well,
catch you
that's
next
it.
time.
Okay.
All right.
I get to see you a lot. So
Yeah.
Isaac made a comment. I feel like strangers would give us the benefit of the doubt instead of people who know me in my SOI. Curious. Why do you say that?
Hello? Okay. I say that because I mean I talk to a lot of people that already know me and they already like they already have their information and everything. And they'll be like, oh, you're brand new. They're like, we're gonna go with somebody else, or something like that. And they're just like, and they know me already, know how I am and how I act. So they're like, yeah, we can't trust you. Something like that. So it's like
Okay, well, now if you've given people a reason not to trust you, we can't help you with that necessarily. And Rick, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say, I felt the same way, Isaac. And you know what? Keller Williams has the best training anywhere. And I would let that be known to people and tell them all of the great points about it and say, you know what? I don't ever say bad things about other folks, but there's plenty other realtors around here that I already know more about because Keller Williams training is off the hook. And, and you know what? Are you going to go to somebody you don't know? come see me. I'm gonna bust butt for you, you just let them know. Be you. Think about what you just tell them. And I know what it is. You get uptight, like, man, and just try to let that go. And I know it's easier said than done, but you can do it, man. You stick with it.
How about if you don't mind, I piggyback on top of that and you spread on your social media about training. Great training I had today, or not even training, but great webinar we had today. I learned such and such and such, or something like that, and kind of really promote. I don't know why I just thought of this. I should be doing the same, but promote how much activity and learning you had that day or every day, and really kind of push that maybe.
That is an excellent idea, Michelle. Yeah, Isaac, after this, you can post, hey, I was in a great mastermind for real estate today. I'm looking so forward to helping everyone I know with their real estate needs. So let people know that you're actively learning and able to help them. That is a fantastic idea, Michelle. And also keep in mind, guys, if somebody's concerned about you being new or you're concerned about being new, then say, while I might be new, I have a team of agents behind me with many years experience, right? So your coaches have combined, we have about 40 years experience. So, and then the agents in the group who have been here for a long time. So you have a team that you're working with in the productivity coaching program who are behind you. So don't let that hold you back. Okay.
Yeah, we're your team. You can tell them that your team is amazing. You kick butt. I'm on your team, dude. So
yeah, please use that to your advantage. And you might have noticed I sent out a newsletter, our first one. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I finally just threw something together. It'll get better as we go. But one of the reasons I want to do that is because I want you guys to have the statistics every month. Volume, closings, listings. That way you can put that in your marketing materials, in your buyer presentations, your listing presentations, that your team did this, right? So if you don't have numbers to put to it yet, use ours. Okay. So I love that you shared that feeling, Isaac, because that's a common one. And that's one of those things that can be a limiting belief that holds us back. And so we want to make sure we give you tools to work with that. Very good, guys. Well, great job today. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And I'll see many of you throughout this week, Thursday and Saturday. Looking so forward to it. And have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Jodi.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.